All right, folks. Let's jump into the Working Families Party response featuring Representative Summer Lee. I, for one, am excited to jump into another response that has the potential to not be quite as infuriating as Abigail Spanberger's official rebuttal was. Let's take a look.
Party response to the President's State of the Union. The Working Families Party is the political party
for
working people, not the bosses, not the big dollars. I'm proud to be a part of a movement that is built for and by the people. So let's start with a simple truth. What we are witnessing from our government is authoritarianism. Any response that doesn't acknowledge that truth is a disservice to Americans who deserve and need honesty right now. I listened to Donald Trump's speech tonight. While Trump and his friends profit off his presidency, he's gaslighting us. He wants to convince working families that we're better off under his regime. But we know the truth. Our country is in crisis. For millions of Americans, affordability is out of reach. Trump has driven up the unemployment rate, cutting thousands of federal jobs across the country. Everything he does is making Americans less safe at home and abroad. He's bringing us to the brink of wars in the Middle East and South America. And at home, ICE agents are hunting down human beings and cities are under siege. The FBI is raiding election offices in Georgia. Students are being disappeared for protesting tyranny and genocide in Palestine. The environmental protections we earned after a generation of advocacy are being stripped away. Educators are facing attacks on public and higher education because diversity and truth threaten corporate power. Workers are facing...
Also, it's noteworthy they actually gave a damn to have an interpreter. You know? Like, the mainstream Democratic Party couldn't have been bothered to, like, include folks who might otherwise be unable to understand what the response was. And, like, man, the Working Families Party has so fewer resources, so little compared to the Democratic Party. It's ridiculous. But even they got an interpreter.
Union busting and retaliation. And the Republican-led Congress, it's abdicated its post as a co-equal branch and yielded itself to the oligarchs in the White House. Trump bragged about his tariffs, but they were never about creating jobs. They were a tool for Trump to bully countries or companies into paying fealty to him personally, and about making working people pay the price for his tax cuts for billionaires. The courts have blocked his illegal actions, but for too many small businesses and consumers, the damage is done. He played up his tax cuts, but forgot to mention that it's $1 trillion giveaway to the wealthiest and well-connected. He talked a big game about banning stock trading, but wants to exempt himself so he can keep on cashing in. The State of the Union is dire. We can't afford to believe Trump's lies, and we have to pay attention to his actions. This is not a normal time, and our response to it can't be politics as usual. Trump's speech wasn't a list of accomplishments. It was more like an obituary for the country working people built and a celebration for the billionaires who want to strip it for parts. An obituary for our right to vote, for the ability to make rent or the chance to own a home, for good jobs with the right to organize and strike and stick up for each other. Trump's policies are hurting our communities. Working people feel it every single day. We certainly feel it where I come from in Western Pennsylvania, where I was born, raised, and
Trump is getting fucking cooked in this. This is great. This is the kind of energy that was necessary. And, like, the fact that the Democrats, Representative Lee is a Democrat. They had her on the bench and they didn't put her in, and it's just like, that's a choice. That's a fucking choice. This should have been the Democratic response.
Now representing Congress. I know what it's like to come from a working class background, to be burdened by student debt, and to witness our communities be neglected time and again. I ran for office because I wanted to make sure the marginalized and unheard voices of my district had representation. Special interests and dark money went hard against me, and still we won. In my district, Pennsylvania's 12th, people work way harder than their paychecks and bank accounts will ever reflect. It's a place where teachers and nurses like my sister show up even when
Super
they're
Jet Guy,
exhausted.
if the DSA can get someone
Where
to
steel
do
workers
a
carry
closing
the pride
or
of
the
generations in their hands, and we're
sorry. If the DSA can get someone to do a good State of the Union response next year, absolutely. If they can't get someone who's capable of doing it in a good way, then no. It depends on who they get to do it, you know?
restaurant cooks start before sunrise and don't sit down again until midnight. And where childcare workers do some of the hardest work in America and still struggle to pay the rent. We have world-class hospitals, yet people can't access the care they need. Insurance companies drive families into bankruptcy. Parents work 2 jobs and still can't afford childcare. Patients ration medicine just to make it to the end of the month. No matter how hard we work, we continue to struggle. That's the real state of our union. This is not an accident. Trump is failing all of us, but he is not failing everybody.
No. John Smith writes, I assume the Dems are going soft so as not to scare away the Republican voters who Trump has turned away. No, they're going soft so as not to scare away the Republican donors that Trump has turned away or scared away. They don't give a shit about voters. They're worried about goddamn donors. Because the only thing that is keeping a lot of these establishment Dems afloat is massive corporate spending. Full stop.
Promised to lower our costs. Instead, he gave $1 trillion in tax breaks to the 1% while cutting your Medicaid and SNAP by $1.1 trillion. In the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania alone, 300,000 people are going to lose Medicaid within the next year. He promised us public safety, but we have an FBI director who's focused on flying on private jets to concerts and hockey games using our tax dollars. Trump promised accountability and transparency, but his DOJ is violating our subpoena, protecting pedophiles and burying documents that name him in the Epstein files.
Let's fucking go. Call him. I was saying that during the State of the Union. If you are a Democrat and you're bothering to show up to sit in front of Donald Trump as he, spews bile across the entire nation, stand up and call him a pedophile to his face. You know, do something useful, you know? At least Summer Lee's doing the job.
He said he'd make government more efficient, but now seniors can't get anybody on the phone to explain why their Social Security payments stopped. While Americans' bank accounts are being drained, Trump and his family have gained billions of dollars from foreign payments and corrupt oligarchs. And while our hearts break for children trapped in ICE detention, Palantir gets to walk away with a $1 billion contract. This is corporate greed and profiteering, and it's a moral failure. We live in the wealthiest country in the world, yet corporate profits grow and wages don't. The stock market may be helping CEOs, but it does nothing for working people's pocketbooks. The portfolios of AI moguls that see no place for you and me in their future might be growing, but not as fast as the unemployment rate for Black women that's up 20% just from last year. The concentration of wealth has created 2 separate Americas, one for working person and one for the wealthy. And for years, powerful men like Donald Trump and Elon Musk have used the politics of fear and division, telling us that we should blame our neighbors for our struggles. They need you to believe the problem is the immigrant or the trans kid or someone who looks differently or worships differently than you. They want you to look anywhere but at them. Yep. So whether you live in a city where...
It's why I observed this during Donald Trump's speech, redirecting at literally anyone other than the people holding the biggest fucking bags of cash you've ever seen in your lives. Look, the bank robbers must be all those undocumented immigrants. They couldn't possibly be the men with the biggest bags of cash you've ever seen.
the rent is too damn high, or in a small town where the factory closed down, or whether you come from a community hit by gun violence, opioids, floods, or fires, working families are facing this same reality. Wages that don't keep up with costs, in a system built for corporate CEOs, and a government that is just not doing enough. This rigged system keeps squeezing the people who have it hardest, the communities with the least power, the workers with the least protection, and the families already living on the edge. But we don't have to accept that. The rich, connected, and well-protected may want us to believe this has to remain the status quo, but we can work to make things right. We've seen working people come together, from the civil rights movement to the creation of labor unions, to change this country for the better, despite powerful opposition. So right now, we need bold policy proposals that meet this moment. We can build an America that works for the many and not just the money. An America where you can actually afford a home, where healthcare is guaranteed, with affordable childcare and education, with paid family and medical leave, and jobs.
See, this is also a really critical component. She's actually charting a path not just against what Donald Trump is doing in the name of like some nebulous status quo that is better, but she is actually going beyond that and saying, this is what we're going to fight for. We're going to make sure everyone has healthcare. We're going to make sure like you get paid family leave. We're going to make sure we get X, Y, and Z things. Like, those tangible policy positions are what make people believe that a better future is possible. You need to have that component. If you're just fighting against something, you are inevitably going to implode once you beat that thing and have no additional game plan or path to travel. It's so frustrating. But she's doing great.
Jobs with a union standard. We can create a just and humane immigration system. And let's be clear, you can't reform oppression or hatred. You must abolish it. We can have environmental policies that put the health of our people and our planet over the profits of oil and gas executives. We can fund education instead of endless war and genocide in Palestine or Sudan or anywhere else in this world. That vision is not radical. It is the bare minimum required for a healthy democracy and for people to pursue happiness and live with dignity. Imagine what it would mean if healthcare wasn't tied to your job, and where you can see a doctor without checking your bank account first, or no parent ever rationing insulin, no family starting a GoFundMe to survive cancer. Medicare for All doesn't just save money. It saves lives. It keeps families out of bankruptcy. Imagine a national jobs program that guarantees dignified union work. Rebuilding roads and bridges, caring for...
Like genuinely, we could employ every single person in America and rebuild our infrastructure. Like, make incredible works of art. Like, we could build monuments. We could build, like, cool-ass shit if we just had jobs programs. Like, my God, a better path is available to us. Yeah, make a New Deal too. Every city and town has their own little, like, just workforce of people who go around fixing problems in the city.
Seniors and children, installing clean energy, building affordable housing. No more telling young people there's nothing here for you, or no more small towns hollowed out and just forgotten. A good job does more than pay the bills. It builds...
Yeah, like, I don't know, get a massive group of people together and build, like, the infrastructure for high-speed rail or maglev trains. We could do it. We could absolutely do it. There's no reason we shouldn't be able to do it. Instead of having to jump into a plane, you could, in style, ride in a maglev train from one end of the country to the other. We should be building a second railroad connecting the east and west ends of this country. We could make America connected again. I don't know. There are just so many cool things we could do.
Pride and community. Imagine childcare that doesn't swallow half your paycheck, and paid leave that allows you to heal, to bond with your newborn, or to care for a parent without risking your livelihood. When people have the basic secured, stress goes down, small businesses grow, families stay together, and democracy actually works because people aren't trapped in survival mode. When the foundation is strong, people can breathe again. We, the people, need this. We need a healthy democracy and systems that work for us. We can have this now. Don't let anybody tell you we can't afford it. We somehow find endless money for ICE, for private prisons to warehouse Black and brown people, and for bombs to be sent abroad. But we're told healthcare and childcare are too expensive. And when we begin questioning those priorities, the powerful try to divide us once more. But that old playbook is losing its grip. When Trump returned to the White House for a second time, too many institutions surrendered. But ordinary people stood up. When federal immigration agents invaded Los Angeles and Minneapolis, when they killed Keith Porter and Renee Good and Alex Preety, people didn't stand by. They stood together, protesting, documenting abuses, building mutual aid networks, demanding that ICE gets out of their communities and that Congress not give them another penny. I believe the American people deserves leaders who are as brave as they are, who will wake up every morning ready to fight like hell. This year, we can flip Congress against Trump and against this rigged status quo, but we can't do it by electing more of the same. The Democratic Party is at a crossroads. On one side are millions of working people demanding bold action, lower costs, higher wages, Medicare for all. On the other side are corporate donors and consultants who are terrified of upsetting the very interests that rigged this economy in the first place. That tension shows up in watered-down bills and speeches that sound bold but govern small. You can't promise relief while protecting corporations driving up the prices. You can't stand with labor while taking checks from the union-busting CEOs. And you cannot defeat MAGA while keeping billionaires comfortable. In other words, you can't serve two masters.
Can't fucking take those checks from the Epstein class. Absolutely. If you are beholden to the Epstein class, you are not going to release those files, and you are not going to demand accountability from these clowns.
That's why the Working Families Party exists, to help us bring bolder people into government who better reflect the vision of working people. Look at Congresswoman Delia Ramirez, a daughter of Guatemalan immigrants in Chicago who expanded Medicaid, built affordable housing, and protected people from eviction as a state legislator before bringing that same fight to Congress. Or Congresswoman Latifah Simon, who worked for more than 30 years helping survivors of violence and trafficking. Now she's here in Congress to push for affordable housing and transit that connects people and that helps them get to work, and for an economy that doesn't treat Black and brown communities as disposable. Look at New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani, who took on Andrew Cuomo and his corporate backers and won. He led a movement of renters, young people, and working families who had been told their voices did not matter. He proved that when you show up, when you speak clearly about how to meet people's basic needs, the people respond. And now look at New Jersey's newest Democratic nominee, Ana Lilia Mejia. She started her race at 5%. She was outspent 10-1, and she still won because she outworked party bosses and billionaires. And as a
absolutely amazing success story on her part, by the way, like 1000%. Like, the times have fucking changed, you know? Establishment Dems should beware that their incompetence and their complicity is being noted. And Summerlee is bringing the fucking heat. I love it. I love this.
A former director of the New Jersey Working Families Party, she had a record of delivering, raising the minimum wage, guaranteeing paid sick days, and defending voting rights. And there is more of this to come. Our democracy does not work when big money owns politicians. Americans are sick of a corrupt elite few causing all this harm. And that's why I introduced a bill to abolish the super PACs they use to control our country.
Let's go!
The obscenely rich shouldn't be able to call the shots in our democracy, and they shouldn't be able to escape accountability. That's also why I moved to subpoena the DOJ to release the full
I'm not gonna lie. A move to abolish super PACs. I can get 1010% behind that. Okay, 1010%.
Redacted Epstein files back in July. I know what it feels like to be targeted by billionaires, to face attack ads and smear campaigns meant to silence you. It was demoralizing and exhausting. It was also a waste of their money because our movement won and we have to keep winning. Because when we have progressives in Congress, we get legislation that meets the moment. We get people who fight for accountability and justice. We get opportunities to do the right thing. So if you're sick of the corruption and the cruelty in this administration, if you're frustrated by Democrats who speak boldly but deliver cautiously, or sometimes even vote with MAGA, then believe that change can and will happen if we build political power together. That's what we're doing at the Working Families Party. Join us. Let me end with this. Trump is trying to steal everything that isn't nailed down for himself and his obscenely wealthy friends. But this level of thievery requires consent. It requires silence, exhaustion, resignation, but we do not have to consent. Our organized labor and our organized money are far.
Oh, fuck. An elected official talking about organized labor. Oh my god, yes, please. This is a balm for my wounded soul. Obama could have declassified the Epstein files. Obama should have released all of the Epstein files. It's true.
Far more powerful than they want us to believe. So join us. We can reject authoritarianism. We can reject corporate power. We can get money out of politics. We can choose a different path, one where we have each other's backs, because working people are the majority. And when we come together and fight, we win. Thank you and good night.
Damn, girl. Absolutely nailed it. Absolutely nailed it. Oh my god, that felt great. That felt great. You know? And this is increasingly how I've been feeling. You know, I think this speech encapsulates where I'm at with politics right now, which is that the establishment Dems on the top are worthless. They are worthless to us. They will not fight for us. They will not actually show up for us when it counts, when the chips are down. They do not give a shit. They are divorced from reality by virtue of their wealthy donors. They do not care. However, our hope is not in establishment Democrats. It is not in the most powerful people in the Democratic Party. It is in people like Representative Summer Lee. It is in people like the Minneapolis City Council people who are showing up day after day, putting their bodies on the line in front of ICE officers, you know, in front of Minneapolis police, pointing munitions at them. Our hope is in the actual politicians who are standing up for what is right and actually speaking up for what is right, like doing the work, you know? And there are so many good people in this country who are willing to stand up, but they need help. And they need help from people like you, from people like me, from people who are willing to show up to local Democratic meetings, or show up to local DSA meetings, or show up to local Working Families meetings. It takes people to show up. It is brutally important that you guys show up. 95% of the work of organizing is done in meetings where things get organized. It is required that people show up. So what I am imploring you guys to do is, if you want to find a Summer Lee that lives in your area, if you want to find someone who's actually going to fight for you that lives in your area, because I guarantee you, wherever you live, there are people there that are willing to fight for you and the working class of America without throwing gay or trans people under the bus in the process. So I'm imploring you guys to go get involved with your local Democrats, start showing up to your local city council meetings, start going to your local DSA meetings or your Working Families meetings, because guess what? We can actually do so much cool shit. But it is incumbent upon us, not some nebulous hero to come save us. It is incumbent upon us to actually show up and do that work, the hard, grinding work that is every day showing up and deciding you want to try and make the world a better place. Okay? We need people to show up and find and support those progressives in your area, or to become the progressive in your area. You can run for office. If you need resources, if you think you might be up for it, check out runforsomething.org. But if you want to get involved with your local Democratic Party, if you want to get involved with your local DSA, join our Discord, reach out to Gamergy for help joining DSA and making it more effective. Reach out to Dragonfly for help joining your local Democratic Party and making it more progressive. We don't have currently a representative for the Working Families Party that is going to onboard folks over there. But, you know, if you're inclined, you can also check out the Working Families Party. All three of those groups are great to have in our corner when the chips are down, okay? So what I would love... Also, I know people have some issues with Discord these days. If you don't want to get on Discord, just be aware that you can come over to riverboat.gg, which is the on-screen chat here. You just type in your web browser, riverboat.gg, you'll get to the website. And you can chat with Gamergy and Dragonfly over in this chat over here. So if you have questions, but you don't want to use Discord, that's probably the place to do it. All that being said, hit the like button. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Did you think this was a good speech? Hit the follow button, subscribe button. And last but not least, check out ImogeneOlivia.com. Gender euphoric lingerie designed from the ground up for trans femmes. Tested with cis men, cis women, non-binary folks. It is comfortable. People look sexy in it. It's great. Check it out. Non-tucking lingerie. Link down in the doobly-doo. Check it out. New colors, styles, and sizes coming in the near future. And I think it's great. I'm wearing it right now. It's super comfortable. All that being said, let's keep on going.
Riverboat Jack is coming to town. All the viewers gather round. Twitch and YouTube and switchy streams. All that content is bursting the scenes. Politics, being flame more. Your sense of fashion you'll adore. So grab your stuff and hop aboard. We're going straight to Jack's Discord. Riverboat Jack.